ចាជំរាបសួរបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចាថ្ងៃនេះនាងខ្ញុំចេននេះនាយិការបស់មជ្ឈមណ្ឌល Excellent Master Beauty Center ហៅកាត់ EM Beauty Center ឥឡូវនេះគឺយើងបានអភិវឌ្ឍមកជា clinic កែសម្ផស្ស EM ចាពីថ្ងៃនេះផងដែរនាងខ្ញុំមានកិត្តិយសហើយនឹងភាពសប្បាយរីករាយនៅក្នុងការធ្វើជាវីដេអូមួយក៏ដូចជាការអញ្ជើញវត្តមានរបស់ Dr Reid Sheiftal ដែលគាត់គឺជា Director ផ្នែកវះកាត់នៅឯមន្ទីរពេទ្យ Sangkat ហើយគាត់ក៏ជា Medical Doctor ចាជំនាញផ្នែកPlastic Surgery ចាដូចគ្នានឹងផងដែរក៏ជា Doctor ជំនាញផ្នែកកែសម្ផស្សផ្សេងៗផងដែរហើយគាត់ក៏ជាសាស្ត្រាចារ្យផ្នែករូបវិទ្យាផងដែរនៅឯសាកលវិទ្យាល័យ MIT ចាអញ្ចឹងនៅថ្ងៃនេះគឺនាងខ្ញុំមានការអញ្ជើញចូលរួមពី Dr Reid Sheiftal ដើម្បីសួរនៅសំណួរមួយចំនួនធំដែលបងប្អូនមិត្តនារីរបស់យើងគាត់តែងតែមានចម្ងល់តាក់ទងទៅនឹងការវះកាត់ចាពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងក៏ដូចជាការវះកាត់កែសម្ផស្សផ្សេងៗចាអញ្ចឹងនៅថ្ងៃនេះបងប្អូនអាចតាមដានមើលវីដេអូមួយនេះចានៅរាល់សំណួរជាច្រើនដែលនាងខ្ញុំនឹងធ្វើការសួរចាចំនួនបងប្អូនមិត្តនារីយើងដែលជាចម្ងល់ដែលបងប្អូនមិត្តនារីតែងតែសួរនាងខ្ញុំជារឿយៗអញ្ចឹងដូច្នេះថ្ងៃនេះយើងមកជួបជាមួយនឹងគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នា I say hello to you. Hello, doctor. Thank you for your presence today. And today we will have some questions that will interview you for the answer that many ladies in Cambodia and all around the world that they wonder about doing the breast augmentation, and they will learn and study a lot before they decided to do the breast augmentation. So thank you so much for your presence today.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So the first question is, I will tell our audience first in Khmer language first.
Okay.
So and then I will translate to you, and I will translate to tell the audience also.
The answer.
Yeah, thank you so much. ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាសម្រាប់សំណួរជាច្រើនដែលនាងខ្ញុំត្រៀមសម្រាប់សួរជំនួសបងប្អូនចាំស្ដាប់វាគឺជាគេហៅថាគន្លឹះនិងពន្លឺនៅក្នុងការដែលស្ត្រីយើងត្រូវគិតពិចារណាមុនយើងទទួលការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងក៏ដូចជាការវះកាត់កែសម្ផស្សណាមួយចាអញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនប្រិយមិត្តទាំងអស់គ្នាជាពិសេសមិត្តនារីឥឡូវនេះយើងចូលដល់សំណួរទី1ទៅគាត់តែម្ដងណា So doctor, what should the woman learn before they decided to do their breast augmentation?
Okay. The most important thing is researching the doctor. Make sure that the doctor is well trained, well educated, has experience, has some pictures he can show you of other women he's done.
Yes. How about
that's
the age?
about it. The age of the doctor?
The age of the patient?
No, the age of the patient doesn't matter as long as she's an adult. We don't do people under 18. We wait till they're old enough to do it.
So it means that it is more suitable for the woman upper than 18 years old.
Yes, mainly because for two reasons. One, you don't want to do something on a child that they don't completely understand. And number two, young ladies that are only 16 or 17 their breasts may change. Usually by the time you've become an adult, they don't grow anymore unless you get pregnant, for example.
So is it better for the woman who have the family, I mean the husband, or is it for also the single women that can do it?
Both. In America, single women have it done, and women who have had children already have it done. Usually for different reasons. A younger lady who's not been married yet may want it done because her breasts are smaller than she wants them to be. A woman who's had a couple children already may want to do it to fill out her shape a little more after atrophy from milk letdown when you nurse your baby. So for two different reasons we have the wide spectrum of patient ages and experience.
Okay, now I tell to our audience ចាបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាគាត់បានបញ្យល់ប្រាប់យើងថា អ្វីដែលជាចំណុចសំខាន់ដែលមិត្តទាំងអស់គ្នាបងប្អូននារីរបស់យើងទាំងអស់គ្នាមុននឹងសម្រេចចិត្តធ្វើការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងចាគឺយើងត្រូវតែស្គាល់ពីប្រវត្តិរបស់ដុកទ័រថាគាត់ត្រូវបានពង្វឹកបានច្បាស់លាស់អត់មានសញ្ញាបត្រពីសាលាពេទ្យត្រឹមត្រូវអត់ហើយមានគេហៅថាការទទួលស្គាល់ពី plastic board surgery ដែរឬក៏អត់ចាពីក្រសួងឬក៏ដែរឬក៏អត់ហើយមានបទពិសោធន៍ខ្ពស់ប៉ុណ្ណាអញ្ចឹងមុននឹងយើងធ្វើការជ្រើសរើសក្នុងការសម្រេចចិត្តធ្វើការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងគឺយើងត្រូវធ្វើការសិក្សាជាច្រើន so how about the other thing than the age and the choice of the doctors anything else besides
Yes, you want to make sure that you have it done in a facility that's safe and you have a very good anesthesiologist. That's really important.
Okay អញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់ sorry អញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាគាត់ក៏បានថែមផងដែរថាក្រៅពីយើងសិក្សាស្រាវជ្រាវទៅលើការជ្រើសរើសយកដុកទ័រណាដែលគាត់មានជំនាញពិតប្រាកដមានបទពិសោធន៍ខ្ពស់ទឹកដៃខ្ពស់ស្នាដៃយូរឆ្នាំហើយមានន័យថារូបស្នាដៃរបស់គាត់ដែលគាត់បានធ្វើហើយគឺយើងត្រូវធ្វើការជ្រើសរើសទៅលើគេហៅថាតើក្រុមគ្រូពេទ្យផ្នែកដាក់ថ្នាំសណ្ដំចាពួកគាត់គឺជាក្រុមគ្រូពេទ្យដែលមានបទពិសោធន៍ដែលមានជំនាញដែលមានគេហៅថាការទទួលស្គាល់ពីក្រសួងសុខាភិបាលដែរឬក៏អត់នេះគឺជាចំណុចសំខាន់មួយទៀតនៅក្នុងការយើងជ្រើសរើសយកធ្វើការវះកាត់ចានៅក្នុងការធ្វើការវះកាត់ដើមទ្រូងអញ្ចឹងមានន័យថាបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាហ្នឹងគឺវាតាក់ទងទៅនឹង credit របស់ clinic ចាថាតើ clinic ហ្នឹងគាត់តែងតែជ្រើសរើសធ្វើការជាមួយនឹងដុកទ័រល្អកម្រិតណាចាគាត់មានបំពាក់សម្ភារៈល្អកម្រិតណាហើយគាត់មានការសុំច្បាប់ពីក្រសួងទាំងក្នុងប្រទេសទាំងក្រៅប្រទេសល្អកម្រិតណាហើយបានត្រឹមត្រូវកម្រិតណាអូខេបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងចូលទៅសំណួរបន្តទៀតណា So the next question is how long the operation that you take for one patient for the surgery
The operation takes about 30 minutes.
Okay wow very quick
Yeah.
very quick
Yeah.
amazing
Yeah, it's amazing.
Actually, I have known that some operation it would be more than 30 minutes. Even other doctor from Thailand or from Korea.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah,
It take
maybe
2 hours or something
yeah,
to do
2
it.
hours or more than 1 hour. But very amazing that you take only 30 minutes
Yeah.
for doing that.
Yes.
Wow បងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាគាត់ថាសម្រាប់ process នៃការធ្វើការវះកាត់ដើមទ្រូងដោយសារគាត់មានបទពិសោធន៍យូរឆ្នាំអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់គាត់ការធ្វើការវះកាត់ដើមទ្រូងសម្រាប់គាត់គឺចំណាយពេលតែ30នាទីតែប៉ុណ្ណោះ So another question what are the difference of silicone that most doctors in the world that they choose to use for their patient as the breast implant
Okay. There are silicone gel-filled implants
yeah
and there are saline-filled implants. Saline is salt water.
okay
We like to use silicone, which we use here in Cambodia, because it's more natural feeling. It feels softer and more natural.
okay
Saline, as you might imagine, feels a little bit like a water balloon. You know, it just feels like there's water in there. It doesn't feel very natural.
yes
So you can explain to your clients there.
អូខេបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចាបន្ទាប់ពីគាត់បានបកស្រាយនៅចម្ងល់មួយនេះគឺថាប្រភេទស៊ីលីកូនដែលដុកទ័រទាំងអស់ចាចង់និយាយថាប្រភេទ implant ដែលយើងយកមកដាក់នៅក្នុងធ្វើការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងរបស់យើងគឺយើងមានពីរប្រភេទទី1គឺគេហៅថាប្រភេទ saline ហ្នឹងគឺជាថង់ដូចគ្នាបែបនេះដូចដែរប៉ុន្តែវាជាប្រភេទគេហៅថាទឹកអញ្ចឹងវាជាប្រភេទទឹកនៅក្នុងហ្នឹងហើយមកប្រភេទទៀតគឺជាស៊ីលីកូន gel ដូចដែលយើងបានបង្ហាញជូនបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាហ្នឹងចាហើយកាលណាវាជាប្រភេទស៊ីលីកូន gel បែបនេះគឺវាអត់មានបញ្ហាថាថ្ងៃក្រោយទៅវាបែកឬក៏ធ្លាយឬក៏លេចទេពីព្រោះអីយើងមានប្រភេទស៊ីលីកូនជាច្រើនប្រភេទដែលនៅពេលដែលយើងពុះឬក៏យើងចាក់ឬក៏យើងយករលោកិនអីហ្នឹងគឺវាអត់មានការហៀទេSo can you tell me about the brand
Yes.
that most safe in the world that most doctors choose to use for their breast implant to the patient?
Okay. In the United States, everything is very strict. And there's organization there called the Food and Drug Administration.
Okay.
And they have to approve all medical devices like breast implants or nose implants or anything like that, or Botox, for example, or any drug that people take. They go through clinical trials for years before they will say, yes, you can sell this in America. Because the Food and Drug Administration is so thorough, when they test something, the whole world uses the Food and Drug Administration, even though it's only in America. It's very expensive to test things. So all the medical societies in the world just use America's approval. And there are 2 breast implants that are approved in America right now.
Okay.
One is Mentor, which is the brand that I use.
Yes.
And the other company that has a breast implant approved is called Allergan.
Allergan.
Okay, and it makes fillers and Botox.
The most popular one in
Mentor is.
The Mentor.
Mentor is the most popular in the
How long
world.
it has been approved by the FDA?
Oh, for dozens of years. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years. Long time.
Okay, so
But of course, they have to make sure that any change they make in their implants is approved again. So they are constantly undergoing approval processes to make sure it's safe and the most safe. Of course, America does an enormous volume of plastic surgery compared to other countries. This is much bigger. So every implant manufacturer in the world wants to sell their implants in America so they can make a lot of money. But America is very strict, and most implants are not safe enough to use. But the ones that we use, Mentor, are proven to be safe.
can it be leaking, or when we cut, is there any any gel comes out or not?
Yes, very good question, because you think, it feels very soft, right? It feels nice.
Yeah.
And so is it water? Is it liquid inside? Will it just drip out? And the answer is no. The engineers that made this figured out a way to make it really soft like this, feel like a liquid. But when you take a pair of scissors, strong scissors, and you cut this in half, nothing drips out. It's a solid. It's actually solid. You can cut it in half and put it in the street and have a car drive over it, and it will only bulge out and go back. It will not leak or lose any of its material. It's really amazing when you think about it.
Okay.
That it can break and nothing comes out of it, but it feels this soft. As you can see, a lot of money was spent to develop this Mentor implant.
So, okay, thank for the answer. I will tell to our audience. Okay, ចឹងបងប្អូនមិត្តនារីយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាចាក៏ដូចជាបងដែលកំពុងតែមើលការសម្ភាសន៍របស់នាងខ្ញុំជាមួយនឹងលោកដុកទ័រចាអញ្ចឹងការបញ្យល់របស់គាត់នៅអាមេរិកគឺថានៅរាល់ product ទាំងអស់ដែលគាត់ចរាចរនៅលើទីផ្សារគឺមានការគេហៅថាសុក្រិតខ្លាំងមែនតែនហើយម៉ត់ចត់ខ្លាំងមែនតែនហើយអត់ងាយ approve ឲ្យផលិតផលណាមួយងាយចេញលក់នៅលើទីផ្សារបានទេគឺត្រូវធ្វើការគេហៅថាអង្កេតរាប់ឆ្នាំតមតបានគេហៅថា FDA approve ណាមានថា Food and Drugs Safety approve មានថាសុវត្ថិភាពចំណីអាហារបើសិនជាproduct ហ្នឹងត្រូវបានតេស្តជាយូរឆ្នាំហើយឃើញថាมันមានបញ្ហាអីគឺទៅទទួលបានការ approve ពីគេហៅថានាយកដ្ឋានសុវត្ថិភាពចំណីអាហារដែលយើងហៅភាសាអង់គ្លេស FDA approved Food and Drugs Administration approved អញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់នៅអាមេរិកវិញគឺថាលោកដុកទ័រគាត់មានប្រសាសន៍ថាមាន brand 2ដែលត្រូវបានដុកទ័រល្បីៗទូទាំងពិភពលោកហើយប្រើប្រាស់ជាយូរឆ្នាំហើយនោះគឺ brand ទី1ឈ្មោះ Mentor ដែល brand នេះលោកដុកទ័រគាត់តែងតែប្រើប្រាស់ជាមួយនឹង patient គាត់រាប់ពាន់នាក់ហើយចាពាន់នាក់ម៉ឺននាក់ហើយចង់និយាយថាអញ្ចឹងណាពីព្រោះគាត់ទឹកដៃគាត់ស្នាដៃគាត់យូរឆ្នាំហើយមកប្រភេទទៀតគឺ elegant ចាហើយសម្រាប់ mentor នេះវិញបើនិយាយពី FDA approve វិញគឺរយៈពេលចូលជាង20ឆ្នាំហើយបងប្អូនអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់ silicone នេះផងដែរគឺយើងអត់មានការភ័យបារម្ភនៅក្នុងការថាវាអាចនឹងហៀវាអាចនឹងធ្លាយវាអាចនឹងលិចដែលអាចធ្វើឲ្យប៉ះពាល់ទៅដល់កោសិការបស់យើងនៅពេលដែលយើងធ្វើការ implant ចូលទៅក្នុងដើមទ្រូងរបស់យើងឯងបើសិនជាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាធ្វើការកាត់វាជាពីរអញ្ចឹងណាហើយយកទៅដាក់នៅលើថ្នល់ហើយឲ្យឡានកិនឬក៏រលោកិនអីចឹងទៅគឺវាគ្រាន់តែតប៉ែតហើយវាងើបឡើងមកវិញអញ្ចឹងនិយាយថាវាជាប្រភេទ solid មានន័យថាវាជាអង្គធាតុមិនមែនជាធាតុរាវចាប៉ុន្តែវាទន់ដូចចាដូចទឹកចឹងគឺទន់ខ្លាំងមែនតើដែលធ្វើឲ្យនៅពេលដែលយើងធ្វើការទទួលការវះកាត់ implant ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងទៅវាមានលក្ខណៈអារម្មណ៍ដូចធម្មជាតិចឹង Okay, thank you doctor. I have explained to our audience. So the next question is how long does this implant can take for to implant into one patient?
Okay, everybody asks this because they want to know how long it lasts. You know, what's the duration?
Oh, បងប្អូនតើខ្ញុំភ្លេចសួរសំណួរជាភាសាខ្មែរ I forgot to tell them in Khmer language.
Oh, what you're asking? Go ahead.
Okay, បងប្អូនតើគ្នាខ្ញុំភ្លេចប្រាប់ថាតើខ្ញុំត្រូវសួរសំណួរអីទៅលោកដុកទ័រមិញណាចង់និយាយថាខ្ញុំចង់សួរគាត់ថាតើ implant មួយហ្នឹងសម្រាប់ការយើងដាក់នៅក្នុងការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងនោះយើងអាចប្រើបានរយៈពេលប្រហែលអញ្ចឹងណា Okay, so please.
Okay. When you buy an implant, when the doctor buys the implant and he prepares to insert it into the patient, he gets a package insert with it, which is a bunch of technical information about the product, okay? In that package insert, a recommendation is made by Mentor Corporation to replace the implants after 10 years. Now, that does not mean that 1 month after 10 years is up, it's going to break or have a problem, but they recommend that you change after 10 years. There are many cases of women who use their implants their entire life. Sure. If they don't want to, if they still feel good and look beautiful, and they don't want to have an operation to change their implants, sometimes they will go beyond 10 years. But the Mentor Corporation recommends that you change your implants after 10 years.
Okay.
Like I say, it doesn't mean they're going to fall apart right after 10 years.
So it can be have some problem or not if the woman don't want to change and they still feel nice and they feel still healthy. So it could be have some problem in the future more than 10 years or not?
It's possible that after 10 years the envelope, you know, the surface could wear down so much that it would rupture or something. It's possible. But honestly, I've taken implants out of people who've had them in 30 years before. And when I get them out, they look like they've never been used. In my experience, the quality of the Mentor implants is so high. They're really amazing implants. They're very soft, as you can see, and you can test with your hands. And it's possible they can rupture. For example, if you were in a car accident and hit the steering wheel very hard, it could break. But like I said before, even cutting them with scissors and driving over them in a car, nothing leaks out. Okay, but the recommendation is to change after 10 years.
Okay, I see. Okay, បងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាអញ្ចឹងបន្ទាប់ពីគាត់បានបកស្រាយចម្ងល់ជូនយើងមកនាងខ្ញុំបានសួរគាត់ថាតើimplant ដែលយើងដាក់នឹងតើយើងគួរប្រើរយៈពេលប្រហែលឆ្នាំហើយតើរយៈពេលប៉ុន្មានដែលយើងគួរផ្លាស់ប្ដូរអញ្ចឹងបើតាមការដែលគាត់បញ្យល់ប្រាប់យើងមកធម្មតានៅក្នុងប័ណ្ណរបស់ implant ដែលគេដាក់មកពីខាង manufacturer ពីខាងរោងចក្រផលិតហ្នឹងណាគឺធម្មតាគឺមាន insert กระดาษណែនាំមួយគឺខាងរោងចក្រ mentor ហ្នឹងគឺតែងតែ recommend ឲ្យ patient ឲ្យអ្នកជំងឺឬក៏បងប្អូនយើងដែលគាត់ធ្វើការទទួលការវះកាត់ដើមទ្រូងហ្នឹងគឺការដូររៀងរាល់10ឆ្នាំម្ដងក៏ប៉ុន្តែតាមបទពិសោធន៍របស់គាត់ដែលគាត់ធ្លាប់ធ្វើការវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងជូនអតិថិជនគាត់ជាច្រើនមានអតិថិជនខ្លះគាត់ប្រើលើសពី30ឆ្នាំទៀត over 30 years old, right? That you used to take out and it still look very nice that never been used.
Yes, it looks fine. I've been doing this for 30 years. And people tend to use the same doctor they had before, at least in my experience. So sometimes I'll get an email from a lady in the United States that I did a long time ago, even before I came to Cambodia.
Okay.
And she wants me to change her size. And maybe I put them in the 1990s, which is 25 years ago, right?
Wow.
So she comes to Cambodia, she flies to Cambodia, and I exchange them for her. And when I take them out, they look okay.
អូខេតាមបទពិសោធន៍របស់គាត់បងប្អូនគឺគាត់ធ្លាប់ដូចខ្ញុំជំរាបជូនបងប្អូនអញ្ចឹងអ្នកជំងឺដែលគាត់បានធ្វើការវះកាត់ជូនហ្នឹងគាត់ប្រើប្រាស់លើសពី25ឆ្នាំមកហើយគាត់ធ្វើការវះកាត់ជូនអ្នកជំងឺរបស់គាត់តាំងពីគាត់នៅអាមេរិកម៉េះហើយអ្នកជំងឺហ្នឹងក៏គាត់ហោះមកស្រុកខ្មែរធ្វើការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរ implant ហ្នឹងទៅលើដោយដៃគាត់ផ្ទាល់ពីព្រោះអីការវះកាត់ដំបូងគាត់អ្នកវះកាត់អញ្ចឹងគាត់ធ្វើការដូរ implant អញ្ចឹង25ឆ្នាំលើ25ឆ្នាំគាត់ថា implant ដែលដកចេញមកគឺនៅតែស្អាតដូច implant ដែលអត់ទាន់ប្រើអញ្ចឹង Okay, thank you for the question. So another question. There is one question that most women always ask me that is there any implant that they warranty for a whole years of life that the woman can use?
For life?
Yeah, for life.
I don't know of any. The ones that I use are approved in the United States. I feel very comfortable with the FDA. So I'll use these implants and like I said before, the package insert says they should be changed after 10 years. Okay, so there may be some implants made in another country that did not get FDA approval that says they can last forever. That's possible, but I don't know of any. You know, I can't give you a name offhand.
Okay. So បងប្អូនទាំងគ្នាសំណួរដែលខ្ញុំសួរគាត់មិញគឺខ្ញុំចង់សួរគាត់ថាមានបងប្អូនយើងខ្លះដែលគាត់មានចម្ងល់ថាមាន implant ខ្លះអាចប្រើបានមួយជីវិតអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់ចម្លើយរបស់គាត់ថាបើតាមតែបទពិសោធន៍របស់គាត់ដែលគាត់ប្រើ mentor ដែលជា implant ដែលខាងអាមេរិកគាត់បានapprove ឲ្យជាយូរឆ្នាំមកហើយដែលប្រើមកជាយូរឆ្នាំដែលអត់មានបញ្ហាអីកើតឡើងសោះតតែម្ដងណាគឺគេ recommend ឲ្យយើងដូរក្នុងកំឡុងពេល10ឆ្នាំម្ដងប៉ុន្តែជាក់ស្ដែងទៅតាមគេហៅថាអ្នកជំងឺដែលគាត់ធ្លាប់ប្រើហ្នឹងលើសពី25ឆ្នាំលើសពី30ឆ្នាំ implant ដែលគាត់ដកចេញមកក្រៅហ្នឹងគឺនៅតែស្អាតប៉ុន្តែអ្នកជំងឺហ្នឹងគាត់ត្រូវមកដកដើម្បីគាត់ដូរទំហំដូរអីអញ្ចឹងទៅហើយគាត់បានបញ្យល់ប្រាប់យើងផងទៀតថាសម្រាប់ implant ដែលគេតែងតែនិយាយថាមានប្រើបានមួយជីវិតហ្នឹងគឺអាចនឹងថាវាអាចនឹងថាមានក៏ប៉ុន្តែយើងក៏មិនដឹងថាជា brand មួយណា brand អីដែរហើយជាក់ស្ដែងមាន brand ខ្លះក៏ទៅសុំ FDA approve ពីអាមេរិកមកដែរហើយការសុំ FDA approve ពីអាមេរិកមកវាងាយបានទេអញ្ចឹងគឺវាមានការលម្អិតខ្លាំងទៅលើ implant ដែលមាន FDA និងអត់ FDA ហើយអញ្ចឹងគាត់មានអារម្មណ៍ថា implant ដែលគាត់ប្រើនេះគឺទទួលបាន FDA approve ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់មានអារម្មណ៍ទុកចិត្តមានទំនុកចិត្តខ្ពស់ខ្លាំងមែនតើចាជាមួយនឹង implant ដែលគាត់កំពុងប្រើហ្នឹងមានពពោះ mentor ហើយនិង elegant នឹងឯងចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាខ្ញុំមានសំណួរមួយទៀតដែលចង់សួរគាត់ណាខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងថាភិកច្រើនដុកទ័រយើងគឺធ្វើការជ្រើសរើស implant ហើយ recommend ទៅឲ្យអ្នកជំងឺរបស់គាត់គឺប្រើ brand ផ្សេងៗគ្នាអញ្ចឹងខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងនៅចង្អុលកន្លែងហ្នឹងដែរចាស់យើងសួរគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នា So doctor, I wonder why many doctors they choose to use different brand of implant from each other.
Okay. I think the main reason is cost. Okay. You know, some implants are much cheaper than others. Mentor happens to be very expensive. But just to give a recommendation to your clients, whenever you're putting something inside your body, you want to use the best quality thing you can get.
Right.
It's different than, say, buying an article of clothing. You know, if you don't like it or something, you can throw it away later. But something like this, you know, is going to be inside your body. So it's better to get the best quality one, I think. And yes, these implants are more expensive than some other implants that are made in other countries which did not meet FDA approval. Okay? But I choose to spend the extra money so the women can have the best quality. I think it's important. Whether I do your surgery or not, it's important to ask the doctor what type of implants he or she uses and ask for the best quality that's available.
Okay.
It's important.
ចាចម្លើយរបស់គាត់គឺថាគាត់ចង់និយាយថាដុកទ័រគាត់ជ្រើសប្រើ implant ផ្សេងៗគ្នាមែនប៉ុន្តែមូលហេតុដែលគាត់ជ្រើសប្រើហ្នឹងគឺអាស្រ័យទៅលើទី1គឺថាវាជាតម្លៃទី2គឺគុណភាពសម្រាប់ខាងគាត់វិញគឺគាត់ តែងតែជ្រើសរើសimplant ដែលមានគុណភាពល្អដូចជា mentor នឹងជាដើមប៉ុន្តែទោះបីជាខុសវាថ្លៃបន្តិចមែនក៏គាត់ recommend ឲ្យខាងអ្នកជំងឺយើងធ្វើការជ្រើសរើសយក implant ដែលមានគុណភាពល្អចាដែលមានប្រវត្តិល្អមិនដែលមានបញ្ហានៅលើទីផ្សារហើយដែលមានការ approve ពីនាយកដ្ឋានសុវត្ថិភាពចំណីអាហារចាដែលជានាយកដ្ឋានមានការស្វិតស្វាញនៅក្នុងការតាមដានផលិតផលក្នុងការដាក់លក់នៅលើទីផ្សារព្រោះអីវាជាប្រភេទដែលយើងដាក់ចូលទៅក្នុងសាច់របស់មនុស្សអញ្ចឹងគឺត្រូវទោះជាយ៉ាងណាយើងត្រូវប្រើប្រាស់របស់ដែលល្អដែលមានគុណភាពដែលមានទំនុកចិត្តខ្ពស់ចាអញ្ចឹងមូលហេតុនឹងហើយបានដុកទ័រគាត់តែងតែជ្រើសរើសប្រើនៅ implant ផ្សេងគ្នា
Can I just give you a little demonstration? You can explain it to your clients. This is a Mentor implant here, and this is some other brand, okay?
Okay.
Now when you look at the Mentor implant, you see how the gel is very uniform and it's very smooth, whereas on this implant, which is cheaper, costs about half the price.
Okay.
Do you see that it's all folded and ruffled on the surface?
Okay.
It's not a uniform consistency and homogeneity of the silicone. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
You see, now your clients may not see this on the video, but you can explain that to them. The difference in quality is very obvious, and this is softer too. This one's not as soft, and it has an irregular surface. You see what I mean?
Okay បងប្អូនទាំងគ្នាអ្វីដែលគាត់ចង់បញ្ជាក់ជំរាបជូនបងប្អូនបន្ថែមហ្នឹងគាត់ចង់បញ្យល់អំពីភាពខុសគ្នារវាង implant ដែលយើងដាក់នៅលើតុខាងមុខនេះ implant ខាងនេះគឺជា implant ដែលមានគុណភាពល្អហើយថ្លៃដែលគាត់តែងតែប្រើឲ្យអតិថិជនរបស់គាត់ឃើញថាផ្ទៃរបស់វាមានលក្ខណៈថាស្មើស្អាតវាអត់មានលក្ខណៈឈឺឈួញទេអញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងចុចទៅគឺវារត់មកវិញដដែលអញ្ចឹងវាធ្វើឲ្យធុងរបស់យើងមានលក្ខណៈថា natural ធម្មជាតិស្អាតឃើញទេអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាហើយ surface របស់វានេះគឺមានលក្ខណៈថារលោងស្អាតវាអត់មានឈួញអត់មានកលិកលៈអីប៉ុន្តែបើយើងងាកមកមើល implant ខាងនេះវិញចាដែលយើងអត់ដឹងថា brand អីទេប៉ុន្តែជា implant ដែលធូរថ្លៃចានៅលើទីផ្សារហិនតម្លៃវាអានេះគុំទ្វេនឹងជា2តែម្ដងយើងឃើញថា surface របស់វាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាឃើញវាជ្រួញហ៎អញ្ចឹងវាខុសគ្នាអញ្ចឹងហើយមានន័យថាអាការភាពរំញោចរបស់វាក៏ខុសគ្នាដែរហើយវាមានការបត់ថ្នាក់ធ្លាក់អីអញ្ចឹងគឺវាធ្វើឲ្យធុងយើងនៅពេលដែល implant ទៅគឺអត់ស្អាតទេហើយអញ្ចឹងចង់និយាយថាគាត់ recommend ឲ្យពួកយើងជ្រើសរើសយក implant ដែលមានគុណភាពល្អដើម្បីយើងយកមកប្រើប្រាស់នៅក្នុងធុងរបស់យើង Okay, thank you so much. We jump to another question.
Great.
We want to know about the process of the operation, mean the pre-op and after-op care. អញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាខ្ញុំចង់សួរគាត់ថាតើជំហាននៃការវះកាត់មានអ្វីខ្លះហើយបន្តមកទៀតនៅកំឡុងពេលវះកាត់ហ្នឹងតើយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាហ្នឹងនឹងមានអារម្មណ៍បែបណាឆ្លងកាត់បទពិសោធន៍បែបណាចាគាត់នឹងបញ្យល់នៅក្នុងសំណួរមួយហ្នឹងហើយបន្ទាប់ពីវះកាត់ហើយតើត្រូវមានការថែទាំបែបណាចា Okay, thank you. So you explain about
the sequence,
pre-op, pre-op and post-op.
Okay, sure. The first thing that we would do would be the patient would come in for a consultation.
Yeah.
At that consultation, we have 2 jobs to do.
Okay.
One of them is to check her health with blood tests and so forth. Very important. So we take blood tests.
Yes.
We do an exam to make sure we don't feel any masses or anything.
Okay.
And once we determine that she's healthy enough to have the operation, and most women are, we talk about what she wants to achieve with her surgery. And as you can see from these 2 implants, they're different sizes. So one of the most important questions that we work on is what size does she want to be?
Okay.
And of course, we want her bust line to enhance her shape.
Yeah.
Right? So
not look fake, right?
Right, not look fake and also not
too big.
Be distracting. Right, too big or too small. Just usually when you see a woman who has an absolutely beautiful figure, her breasts really enhance her curves. They don't stand out so that that's all you look at. Her bust line, we want it to be approximately the same diameter as her hips so that she has a pretty hourglass figure. Okay? And once we determine the size that's best for the patient, of course the patient makes the ultimate decision on what they want. We can only make recommendations based on our experience. But the women vary a lot by what size they want to be. I have a lot of patients, a lot of times the younger patients, the ones that are about 20 years old, that are single, that just want a little bit of a curve. Sometimes their breasts are very small, you know, and so they just want a little bit of a curve, and so they like a B cup. In America, we use cup size to describe women's breasts, not centimeters.
Yeah, B cup is mean how many?
Well, a girl that's, it depends on the patient, but a girl that is, a young lady that is completely flat before surgery has a triple or a double A cup. In other words, she has very little. The only curve that she would have would be from her bra, the cushion in her bra. Okay. A B cup is much larger than an A, of course. And by the way, I have some pre-op and post-op pictures that you could show while we're having the discussion.
Okay.
And I know that one of them I can send you is a B cup patient.
Okay.
So maybe you can insert that now just to show people what we're talking about.
Yes.
But a B cup is a young lady who is slim and has sort of little melon type look, you know, very cute, you know, very attractive for a younger girl. Just not big like this, but just a little curve there, very pretty. Then, of course, a C cup is one step higher, one step larger.
Yes.
And a C cup is a pretty curvaceous woman. You know, she has a very beautiful full bust line. Okay. And of course, we don't. Sometimes in like the United States or maybe Australia, there's more interest in larger breasts because the women are taller and bigger usually. And sometimes they will get a D cup, but that's pretty rare. Usually a C cup is ideal. When you see a woman who's just really got a beautiful figure, usually her breasts are a C cup. Sometimes even a B if she's very slim. A B looks better if she's very slim. So the point is that the patient will decide what she wants to be with the consultation of the doctor and a beauty expert too. Like maybe you'll be in the room with me and you will offer your sense on what would make her the most beautiful. And she would like a woman's opinion, which is important to her, not just to have a man tell her what he thinks looks the best, but what a woman thinks also. So it's kind of a team effort.
Yeah. Okay. So, doctor, can you tell me what C cup that we compare to the CC? Between how many CC to how many CC, and B cup between how many CC to how many CC? And
the reason I can't tell you that is because maybe you need to say that in Khmer because they'll be a little confused. You want to tell them the question you're asking me because the answer's a little confusing. No, it's not longer, but it'll be a little confusing if you don't tell them what you just asked me about the CCs and the cup size.
Okay.
Do they relate together? Yeah.
Okay, I will tell the audience.
Tell the question. Yeah.
Okay, ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងគ្នាសំណួររបស់ខ្ញុំសួរគាត់មិញថាតើយើងមុនធ្វើការវះកាត់ហ្នឹងយើងមានការរៀបចំអីខ្លះហើយនឹងក្រោយការវះកាត់មានការរៀបចំអីខ្លះអញ្ចឹងមុនពេលវះកាត់រឿងដែលចម្បងបំផុតទី1គឺយើងត្រូវមកជួបភាសាមួយគ្រូពេទ្យចាហើយបន្តមកទៀតបើយើងសម្រេចចិត្តថាធ្វើហើយយើងត្រូវធ្វើការធ្វើតេស្តឈាមចាហ្នឹងគឺជាចំណុចសំខាន់ចាធ្វើតេស្តរកគេហៅថាតើនៅក្នុងខ្លួនរបស់គាត់នឹងមានបញ្ហាអីមួយឬក៏អត់អាចទទួលការវះកាត់នឹងបានអត់ហើយធ្វើការ scan ផងដែរនៅលើកន្លែងធុងរបស់គាត់ណាអញ្ចឹងដុកទ័រគាត់នឹងធ្វើ diagnostic ថាតើ patient នឹងមានសុខភាពល្អគ្រប់គ្រាន់នៅក្នុងការទទួលការវះកាត់អត់ដើម្បីសុខភាពរបស់គាត់បន្តមកទៀតគឺគាត់នឹងពិភាក្សាអំពីទំហំចាទំហំដែលគាត់ដែលអ្នកជំងឺយើងចង់បានចាបងប្អូនស្ត្រីយើងចង់បានអញ្ចឹងជាធម្មតាក៏បានជំរាបថាសម្រាប់ស្ត្រីដែលគេហៅថា single នៅវ័យជំទង់ចាអាយុ7 up 18ឆ្នាំឡើងអីហ្នឹងចាគាត់គួរតែប្រើស៊ីខាប់ដែលគាត់ភាគច្រើនគាត់គ្រាន់តែចង់បានឲ្យដើមទ្រូងគាត់មានទម្រង់ជាដើមទ្រូងស្អាតតែប៉ុណ្ណឹងអត់ចង់ធំទេមានតែឲ្យស្អាតតាមរូបរាងរបស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងពីព្រោះភាគច្រើននារីដែលគាត់មានរាង slim ស្ដើងកោមស្ដើងគឺយើងប្រើត្រឹមតែស៊ីខាប់អីអញ្ចឹងអ្នកដែលគាត់ប្រើរហូតដល់ B ខាប់ គឺគាត់អ្នកដែលគាត់មានសាច់ដើមធំច្រើនជាងនឹងអញ្ចឹងទៅចានិយាយទៅគឺធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យខ្លួនយើងគេហៅថា proportion មានថាវាត្រូវតាមទម្រង់ចង្កេះកម្ពស់តាគៀកស្មារបស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងគឺមិនមែនថាការវះកាត់ហ្នឹងយើងចេះតែដាក់ទៅអត់បានគិតទៅដល់គេហៅថា diagram របស់ខ្លួនរបស់យើងនេះគឺគាត់ត្រូវគិតទៅមើលទាំងអស់នៅលើភាពស្រស់ស្អាតបែបធម្មជាតិអញ្ចឹងគឺយើងគិតទៅមិនឲ្យវាមានលក្ខណៈធំពេកឬក៏តូចពេកចាប៉ុន្តែគាត់ថាបើនៅប៉ែកគេហៅថាប៉ែកអូស្ត្រាលីប៉ែកអីនោះវិញភាគច្រើនមនុស្សភាគច្រើនគាត់ខ្ពស់អញ្ចឹងគាត់ភាគច្រើនគាត់ចង់បានធំប៉ុន្តែវាភាគតិចវាអត់សូវមានទេបើធៀបមកខាងអាស៊ីមកខាងអីវិញអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងនៅប៉ែកអូស្ត្រាលីនៅអីហ្នឹងគឺភាគច្រើនគេចង់បានD cup ធំអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងសំណួរដែលខ្ញុំសួរទៅគាត់បន្តទៀតនោះខ្ញុំចង់ដឹងថាតើC cup B cup D cup ហ្នឹងបើយើងធៀបមកជា CC វិញប្រមាណអូខេតើយើងសួរគាត់អស់នេះ So doctor what the
relationship between the CCs and the cup size. First, let me just say about the cup size. The reason we designate in A, B, AAA, AA, A, B, C, etc. cups is that's the way the bras are made. You know, when you have a larger cup on your bra, maybe that's a D cup, and a smaller cup is a B cup, for example. So that's where the language of cup size comes from. It's the way the bras are made. Okay. Now your question is there a relationship between the CCs in the implant and the cup size on your body? That's what you asked, right? And it's very complicated because it depends on what you start with before we do the operation. So let me give an example of these two implants. This implant is 275 cc's, and this one is only 200. Okay? So if we...
C cup?
Well, I'm going to tell you. If the woman begins with nothing, let's say a AAA cup, okay? She has nothing there, no curves there. Very flat. Then if I were to put 2 implants in of this size, I would end up with a large B. A large B. If she started with nothing. If I put this in to her, starting with nothing, she would have a small B. Okay? Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if she has a little bit of curve there, you know, some breast tissue there, a little curve, but she just wants to be more full, more sexy, you know, and full, and I put this in when she has a little bit of breast tissue already, it would certainly move it up to a C cup. Do you understand? If I put this in, 200, this is 275, if I put the 200 in to that same woman with a little bit of curve here, it would probably push it up to a large B. You see? So there's a little bit of a relationship between the CCs and the cup size, but it's not exact.
Okay, understand. So បងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាតាមពិតទៅបើយើងធៀបពីAA ទៅ C cup B cup D cup ហ្នឹងយើងប្រហែលវាអត់ exactly វាអត់ច្បាស់លាស់ពិតប្រាកដហ្មងព្រោះគាត់ថា implant នៅលើដៃខ្ញុំមួយនេះគឺវាទំហំ 275cc អញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាដាក់នៅលើធុងអ្នកដែលគេអត់មានសោះអញ្ចឹងដាក់ទៅវាឡើងគេហៅថាទៅដល់B cup ទំហំ B cup អញ្ចឹងណាហើយ implant ខាងនេះវិញទំហំវាតែ 200cc ឯងអញ្ចឹងបើសិនជាដាក់នៅលើនារីដែលគាត់មានធុងទូចនិយាយទៅលក្ខណៈថាអត់មានត្មងណារៀបស្មើទៅហ្មងដាក់អានេះទៅអានេះ
If they start with that.
ចាអញ្ចឹងវាជាដល់ពេលដាក់ទៅវាបានត្រឹមតែ B cup ទេអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងអ្វីទាំងអស់គឺយើងស្ថិតនៅលើការយើងពិភាក្សាជាក់ស្ដែងហើយយើងគួរដាក់ប្រមាណអីប្រមាណអញ្ចឹងកុំឲ្យយើងឈឺក្បាលរឿងហ្នឹងខ្ញុំគិតថាយើងមើលទៅតាមយ៉ាក្រាមរបស់គេហៅថាធម្មតានៅក្នុង implant មកមួយគឺវាមានការ recommend ន័យថាមនុស្សស្រីយើងមានចង្កេះប្រមាណតាគៀកប្រមាណធុងប្រមាណកម្ពស់ប្រមាណដាក់ទំហំប្រមាណ cc អញ្ចឹងអាប៉ុណ្នេះគឺ 275cc អានេះ 200cc អញ្ចឹងពេលដែលដាក់នៅលើខ្លួនដែលអត់មានធុងសោះហ្មងវាឡើងបានត្រឹមតែ B cup ទេប៉ុន្តែបើដាក់នៅលើធុងដែលមានសាច់ខ្លះវាបានឡើងដល់ C cup វាអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងយើងធៀបអត់បានទេវាយោងទៅលើទំហំអាវក្នុងបងមនុស្សស្រីយើង Okay, thank you a lot, doctor. So we are talking about more the operation after they choose the site. Now we talk to the operation
Itself.
process.
Okay. So after we decided what day we're going to do the operation and what size implants we're going to insert, we give the patient some pre-op instructions.
Okay.
And the pre-op instructions are you cannot eat or drink anything after midnight the night before your surgery. So when you wake up in the morning, we don't want you to eat breakfast. We don't want you to drink a cup of coffee. We don't want you to drink a glass of milk or orange juice. None of that. The only thing we allow in the morning, because it's very hard to not put something in your mouth in the morning, you get very dry, is we like you to just suck on some ice chips to keep you satisfied. You know, break some ice and just put a few pieces of ice in your mouth with a spoon, you know, a little bit.
So how many hours before the operation? No need to have me.
From midnight the night before.
And the night before. So
So if we do the surgery at 10 in the morning, that'll be 10 hours of her not eating. Of course, she slept for 8 of the hours. So it's not that hard. It's just when you wake up in the morning, sometimes you're thirsty, you know, and you like to drink water. We don't want to have you drink a lot of water and fill your stomach full of water because we don't want you to vomit and get it in your lungs and all that. So we just keep your stomach empty. That's the rule. That's why we do that.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to explain that, and then I'll continue on with other things that we ask to do pre-op and so forth?
Yeah, we'll not, but I will explain to you.
Let me say one more thing so you can explain the whole pre-op about the nothing by mouth after midnight. And also in the morning, we would like the ladies to wash their hair because we're clean the body very well, especially under the arms, and wash the hair. The reason I ask them to do that is because when I do this operation and I've sewn up the incision, we don't really want shower water to get on it for a couple days. And so usually the ladies feel better and feel cleaner if they just wash their hair. Because as you know, if you go 3 or 4 days without washing your hair, it can get a little greasy and you feel icky. So we ask them to take a good shower and wash their hair the morning of surgery, in addition to the nothing to eat.
Okay បងប្អូនតើគ្នាអញ្ចឹងសំខាន់ណាស់នៅមុនពេលដែលយើងវះកាត់ហ្នឹងមានន័យថាក្រោយពេលយើងពិនិត្យឈាមអីហើយរើសទំហំស៊ីលីកូនអីហើយយើងពិសាអីហើយរឿងដែលសំខាន់មួយទៀតនោះគឺយើងអត់ឲ្យញ៉ាំអាហារទេមុន6ម៉ោងឬក៏ទៅ10ម៉ោងមានថាមុនពេលវះកាត់មួយថ្ងៃមួយយប់ឧទាហរណ៍ថាស្អែកយើងត្រូវវះកាត់ម៉ោង10អញ្ចឹងម៉ោង10 11 12យប់ហើយគឺលែងឲ្យញ៉ាំហើយអញ្ចឹងណាបើសិនជាព្រឹកឡើងយើងមានការស្ងួតកំពង់កអីតិចយើងអាចខាំតកកបៀមក្នុងមាត់អញ្ចឹងទៅដើម្បីកុំឲ្យមានការស្ងួតកំពង់កពេកចាអញ្ចឹងរឿងសំខាន់មួយទៀតដែលយើងត្រូវធ្វើមុនពេលការវះកាត់ហ្នឹងគឺដុកទ័រត្រូវចាំបាច់ឲ្យយើងធ្វើការសម្អាតខ្លួនចាកក់សក់អីឲ្យស្អាតចាជាពិសេសនៅក្រោមក្លៀករបស់យើងដូចគ្នាចាធ្វើការសម្អាតឲ្យស្អាតពីព្រោះអីយើងត្រូវអត់មួយទឹកពី3ថ្ងៃក្រោយការវះកាត់អញ្ចឹងហើយគឺជារឿងសំខាន់ដែលយើងត្រូវសម្អាតខ្លួនឲ្យស្អាតមុនពេលយើងធ្វើការវះកាត់អញ្ចឹងណាអូខេយើងសួរទៅសំណួរបន្តទៀតថាតើនៅពេលដែលវះកាត់ហើយយើងអាចសម្រាកនៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យឬក៏បានអាចចេញមកផ្ទះបានភ្លាមៗអញ្ចឹងណា Okay, so doctor, do the patient need to stay at the hospital for one night, or they can leave the hospital after the operation?
Okay, they're welcome and encouraged to go home and sleep in their own bed the same day. You do not have to stay in the hospital overnight. Now, let me, for example, in my experience of doing hundreds and hundreds of these over the years, I've only had one patient that sort of insisted. She begged me to stay in the hospital one night.
Okay.
And guess what happened?
Yes.
I said, okay, we'll get you a room and let you stay in the hospital. It was at Central Hospital.
Okay.
And what happened was, she got in her bed and everything was fine. I said, you can go home if you want. She said, no, I want to stay in the hospital one night. Then at 10:30 at night, my phone rang. And I said, hello. And she said, this is so-and-so. This is the patient. Can I go home? So nobody needs to stay overnight.
Okay, អញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាចង់និយាយថាពេលយើងវះកាត់ហើយភ្លាមពេលយើងវះកាត់តែ30នាទីហើយណាគាត់ធ្វើលឿនហ ហើយយើងអត់ចាំបាច់សម្រាប់នៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យទេយើងអាចទៅផ្ទះបានក៏ប៉ុន្តែមិននេះថាយើងចេញទៅផ្ទះភ្លាមៗទេគឺយើងត្រូវមានការគេហៅថាក្រោយវះកាត់ក្រោយថែទាំហ្នឹងយើងទៅគេងនឹងបន្ទប់ក្រោយវះកាត់ហ្នឹងដើម្បីតាមដានឲ្យ body យើង recovery មកវិញបានល្អបានយើងអាចទៅផ្ទះបានអញ្ចឹងណាហើយមិនក៏និយាយកំ pl ែងថាតើគាត់វះកាត់មករាប់100នាក់អីមួយឆ្នាំ100នាក់អញ្ចឹងណាហើយទៅតែមាន patient ម្នាក់គាត់គេងគាត់សុំគេងនៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យប៉ុន្តែម៉ោង 10 យប់សុំទៅផ្ទះវិញចា Okay, so thank you so much. So I also explain to our audience that not mean that you can go home directly, but you have to stay for recovery, full recovery first.
Let me continue with the sequence and explain everything. You're jumping ahead a little. So we've already done the pre-op. I've explained all that. So let me talk a little bit about the day of surgery. What's involved the day we do the surgery.
Okay.
So let's say that we've scheduled the patient surgery for 10 in the morning. Okay. So she comes in at about 9:30.
Okay.
And I need to make some marks on her skin to remind me where to make the dissection and stuff. Okay. And also to give her some confidence and explain one more time what we're doing and everything.
Okay.
And then we let her meet the anesthesia doctor. Okay. And we give the anesthesia doctor a copy of her lab results, her pre-op lab to check her health.
Yeah.
And he takes a look at all that and approves it. Okay. He must approve everything also.
Okay.
And then we let the nurses take her into the dressing room and she puts on a loose cotton gown, surgery gown. And then we walk her into the operating room and she lays on the table and we do the surgery. Okay? When we're finished with the surgery, we wrap her up in an ACE bandage to make everything feel nice and firm. It's almost like a sport bra made out of ACE bandages. It feels very comfortable and the woman will keep this on until I take it off after surgery. But she goes from the operating room to the recovery room on a gurney. We roll her into the next room where she can rest on a bed for 3 or 4 hours.
Okay.
Get completely clear in her mind again and so forth before she goes home. And she'll get a little bit hungry because remember she hasn't eaten since the night before. So around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she's getting pretty hungry, right?
Yeah.
She hadn't eaten all day. So a lot of patients will say, it doesn't hurt, and can I please go home? I'm hungry. So we let patients go home when they're that clear-headed and they tell us that they're hungry. And of course, they can eat anything they want. There's no restriction on eating chicken or fish or beef, which I know the Cambodians believe. That's not important. What is important is that she feels good and is ready to go home and is clear in her head so that she can call us if she has a question later. And we let the patient go home. Now, when she gets home, we would like her to give us a call and say, I'm home, everything's fine, because we like to keep track of the patient. And we're in touch with her. She has our phone numbers, and she can call us anytime if she wants. And then let's talk about the post-op now, okay? Or do you want to explain the procedure? Why don't you explain the procedure, then I'll use the last little bit to explain the post-op.
I think explain first then.
Yeah, explain the procedure.
Okay. ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងនិយាយពីថ្ងៃយើងដែលវះកាត់វិញអញ្ចឹងនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃដែលយើងវះកាត់ឧទាហរណ៍យើងមកវះកាត់ម៉ោង 10 អញ្ចឹងណាម៉ោង 9 ម៉ោង 10 អញ្ចឹងម៉ោង 12 ម៉ោង 1 យើងហើយអ្នកជំងឺគាត់សម្រាកចាគាត់សម្រាកប៉ុន្តែចង់និយាយថានៅមុនពេលវះកាត់គឺអ្នកជំងឺគាត់ត្រូវដូរខោអាវសម្រាប់វះកាត់ចូលទៅក្នុងបន្ទប់វះកាត់ហ្នឹងហើយចាហើយម៉ោង 3 ម៉ោង 4 ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ដឹងខ្លួនហើយគាត់ clean ហើយប៉ុន្តែចង់និយាយថាចេញពីបន្ទប់វះកាត់មកគាត់ដឹងខ្លួនមកវិញហើយនៅពេលវះកាត់ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ខាងគ្រូពេទ្យក៏ដូចជាគ្រូពេទ្យផ្នែកសំណើមផ្នែកអីហ្នឹងគឺយើងមើលរីសាឈាមមើលឲ្យច្បាស់លាស់ថាយើងអាចធ្វើបានអីហើយអញ្ចឹងទៅចាបានយើងចូលវះកាត់អញ្ចឹងមានន័យថានៅពេលដែលគាត់ម៉ោង 3 ម៉ោង 4 ល្ងាចហ្នឹងគឺគាត់ clean ហើយអញ្ចឹងគាត់អាចទៅផ្ទះហើយគាត់ញ៉ាំម៉ាក់សារីញ៉ាំអីក៏បានដែរអញ្ចឹងណាហើយក៏ after that they can drink the medicine
Yes, right after surgery they will not be in any pain. because I put medicine in that makes their breast area numb, so it has no feeling. But that, I'm sorry, you want to explain that and then I'll continue.
Okay, ចឹងមានន័យថាគាត់អត់តន់ឈឺពីព្រោះអីផ្ទះកាត់ហើយចឹងថ្នាំនៅអត់តន់អស់ចឹងណាចឹងវាអត់តន់ឈឺទេអញ្ចឹងអាចថាម៉ោង6អីបានចាប់ដើមឈឺបានយើងត្រូវញ៉ាំថ្នាំថែមទៀតហើយខ្ញុំភ្លេចជំរាបជូនអ្នកនរគ្នាដែរនៅពេលដែលវះកាត់ហើយគឺគ្រូពេទ្យធ្វើការហុំនៅលើខ្លួនរបស់យើងជាគេហៅថាកណាត់ដែលរុំខ្លួនយើងដើម្បីឲ្យធុំរបស់យើងមានលក្ខណៈថាវា firm វាតឹងវាគៀកគ្នាអត់ញែកចេញពីគ្នាហើយអត់ហូរឡើងមកលើឬក៏ធ្លាក់ចុះទៅក្រោមខ្លាំងទៅតាម position ទីតាំងដែលគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់បានគូសហើយនឹងធ្វើការវះកាត់ដាក់នៅមុនពេលដែលយើងធ្វើការវះកាត់នឹងឯងចាហើយវាអាចយើងថាក្រោយពេលដែលគាត់ដកត្រែនចេញគឺយើងអាចដកអាកណាត់ហុំនឹងចេញបានហើយគឺយើងអាចប្រើអាវគេហៅថាអាវ sport ក៏បានដែរអាវដែលមានលក្ខណៈថាទប់ដើមទ្រូងយើងហើយហឹបដើមទ្រូងយើងបានល្អអូខេ so តិចទៀតយើងនឹងសួរគាត់ពីអាការងារដែលគាត់ក្រោយពេលដែលវះកាត់នឹងតើយើងត្រូវថែទាំមិនខ្លះណាអូខេ so after operation.
Let me just add one thing about the water that I put in.
Okay.
We put all this water in to make you numb. It's the same medicine that the dentist uses, to make your teeth numb when he works on your teeth. Okay. And this makes you feel very comfortable when you wake up from surgery because it doesn't hurt very much. Okay. But because I had to put all this water inside you, I have to put a drain in, a very skinny little drain about the size of that. Goes in through your arm here, which we'll talk about later when we talk about ways that I do it.
Okay.
But the tube comes out of your skin into a syringe that's got its plunger pulled back so it has suction on it, okay? And I have to leave those drains in for a couple of days to get all the water out, okay? And let me now talk about the post-op, okay?
Okay.
So the patient has gone home, and the next morning she's going to tell us how much water is in that big syringe. It's a very big syringe, and she can read the numbers on the side and see how much water has gotten in there, and she will report that to us, okay? The day after surgery, she will report it, and the next day she will report it. If the drainage has slowed way down, which it usually does in one day, it's time to take the drains out.
Okay.
So she will come back to EM Center, and we will remove the drains, okay? At that point, she will have her stitches in, and that's it. There's no more drains, and the patients generally feel really good at that point.
Okay.
Now, along the way, again, we put all this water in to make her numb. Of course, that wears off, just like it does when the dentist uses it. And we will make sure that she has some pain medicines at home, okay, and some antibiotics, which she will take every day for a week. And she will have pain medicine at home, like codeine, which she can take if it gets a little sore, which it will do for a couple days after surgery, because the anesthesia has worn off, and so has the water that I put inside. That's worn off too. So she'll need to take some codeine by mouth, probably. Some patients come back and tell me they never even needed to take one codeine. So it varies by the patient, but we always want them to have pain medicine at home, which they will buy before surgery, so it's in their house when they get home, and they can take some pain medicine if they want. So on the second day, let's say, we take the drains out, and then at that point, there's only 5 more days until 1 week has passed, and we allow her to take a shower at that point, after the second day, and then on the 7th day, 5 days after the drains come out, we take the stitches out. Okay, and then she's free to go. And then we give her instructions, post-op instructions, and a demonstration on how to massage her breasts, which helps keep them soft and beautiful. Okay? And then if everything looks great and they feel comfortable knowing how to do the massage, they are released. We're finished.
Okay, បងប្អូនទាំងគ្នាអញ្ចឹងតាមការបញ្យល់របស់លោក Dr. គាត់ចង់បញ្ជាក់ប្រាប់អ្នកទាំងគ្នាថានៅពេលដែលគាត់វះកាត់ហ្នឹងគឺធម្មតាគឺ ខាងនៅក្នុងកន្លែងដែលយើង implant silicone ទៅហ្នឹងនៅក្នុងធុងយើងតែងតែមានគេហៅថាទឹកអញ្ចឹងហើយក៏ត្រូវមាន drain មួយចាសម្រាប់នាំទឹកហ្នឹងចេញមកក្រៅវិញអញ្ចឹងអា drain ហ្នឹងឬក៏សារ៉ាំងដែលសម្រាប់បូមយកបហូរយកទឹកតែនៅក្នុងពេលយើងវះកាត់ហ្នឹងចេញមកក្រៅវិញហ្នឹងគឺធម្មតាគឺយើងត្រូវតាមដានអ្នកជំងឺក្នុងមួយសប្តាហ៍ហ្នឹងតែធម្មតា drain ហ្នឹងវាតែមួយថ្ងៃទេគឺគ្រូពេទ្យអាចដកចេញឲ្យបានទេអញ្ចឹងរវាងអ្នកជំងឺហើយនឹងជាមួយគ្រូពេទ្យគឺយើងត្រូវធ្វើការតាមដានរហូតយើងមើលទឹកនៅក្នុងសារ៉ាំងហ្នឹងចាវាមានចំនួន cc របស់វាបើសិនជាទឹកនៅក្នុងសារ៉ាំងហ្នឹងវាចាប់ផ្ដើមថយលំហូរហើយពណ៌វាឡើងក្រហមវាបដូរមកពណ៌ផ្កាឈូកហើយវាកាន់តែអស់តិចទៅអាហ្នឹងគ្រូពេទ្យអាចធ្វើការដកអាត្រាំងហ្នឹងចេញពីកន្លែងវះកាត់ចាពីក្នុងធុងគាត់ចេញមកហើយធម្មតាត្រាំងហ្នឹងគឺវាទូចទេតែសៃប៉ិនន័យថាគាត់បង្ហាញមិញប៉ិនចុងប៊ិចរបស់យើងអញ្ចឹងវាអត់ធំទេហើយ
Not as big as the pen, as big as this little thing on the end.
Yeah,
okay,
I explain to them.
Sorry.
It's not big. It's
very small.
វាអត់ធំទេគឺថាទូចទេត្រាំងដែលបហូរសម្រាប់បហូរអាឈាមក្រោយវះកាត់ទឹកដែលយើងដាក់ចូលទៅក្នុងធុងក្រោយវះកាត់ហ្នឹងគឺយើងធ្វើការបហូរវាចេញរហូតដល់អស់ពីខាងក្នុងធុងរបស់យើងដែលយើងទៅវះកាត់ហើយហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងណា Okay, so doctor, and another question, it is the important question. បងប្អូនគ្នាមានសំណួរមួយទៀតដែលគេហៅថាជាសំណួរដែលអ្នកនរគ្នាតែងតែឆ្ងល់ពីព្រោះអីមានដុកទ័រជាច្រើនគាត់ធ្វើការជ្រើសទីតាំងនៅក្នុងការវះហើយរុញស៊ីលីកូននឹងចូលវាមានតាមឃ្លាក្រោមសូដានសំតោហើយនឹងចុងសូដានថាតើមេតូតមួយណាដែលមិត្តនារីយើងគួរតែជ្រើសរើសដើម្បីជៀសវាងគេហៅថាស្នាមហើយស្អាតហើយសុវត្ថិភាពហើយងាយស្រួលអញ្ចឹងយើងទៅសួរគាត់ទាំងអស់គ្នា Okay, doctor, there are many methodology that the doctor cut the skin and insert the implant into the breast. There are many ways, like underarm, like areolas.
Right, around the areola, peri-areolar.
Yeah, under the breast also.
Right, inframammary, that's called.
Yeah. So,
infra means below.
Okay, so what is the best way for you? And most doctors recommend for the patient to put the implant through. And what are the advantage and disadvantage of each area?
Okay.
Can you explain for that?
All right. Well, I'm going to say that there's 3 ways that you can. Actually, there's 4 ways that you can put implants in. Let me list them and then talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each one. The first one we're going to talk about is one that's not used in Cambodia because it requires a saline-filled implant, one that's filled with water.
Okay.
And that's peri-umbilical. We put it in down through your belly button. Can you believe it?
Okay.
And the only way that you can do it that way is if you roll up the implant very tight, because it doesn't have the water in it yet, right? Roll it up very tight and put it in through your abdomen and tunnel it all the way up here, and then let it open by filling it with a long tube with water. But we don't use saline here, so let's forget about that right now. Okay. There's 3 ways that silicone gel implants like this can be inserted. One is inframammary, which is right at the bottom of your breast in the crease.
Okay.
One is peri-areolar, which is around the areola, not the nipple, the dark-colored skin.
Okay.
And the third is the way that I do it, which is through the arm, in the axilla over here. The advantage of the inframammary approach is that you're right next to the pocket you're making, and it's very easy to do it that way.
Okay.
However, I do not use that entry point because it leaves a red scar below your breast. Now, some of them are very hard to see, but anytime you do surgery and cut the skin, you will have a scar. And my philosophy is that I don't want to put any scars on the woman's breast because I pride myself on it looking very natural. And I don't want scars on the breast to show the patient's husband or boyfriend that she's had the procedure. It's her business, etc. Now, the second method is also fairly easy to do. and it's making an incision at the interface between the very light colored breast skin and the darker areolar skin, right in the edge there.
Okay.
It leaves a scar. The scar is hidden in the edge, but it is noticeable. But there's a little bit of a problem with the periareolar.
Around the areola or what?
Yeah, if the areola is here and the nipple is in the middle,
Yeah.
we cut right along the edge here of the areola.
Oh, yeah.
You follow me?
For half or for whole? The
Oh,
half
you only have to
only
cut
half?
about half. You don't need to cut all the way around or it would... No, you don't cut all the way around.
Okay.
You just make a little incision, a little less than half even, and you can put the implant in through it. But we make the incision, we dissect down to the pectoralis muscle, and we make a pocket through that hole. Believe it or not, you can do a lot of things through a small hole if you're a good doctor, you know, you can do anything. But we spread the hole open with retractors and we put the implant in and it pops in there. And then we sew the thing up. I've done it that way. I did it as a resident a few times, and I said, this is not a good way to do it because I don't want to leave a scar right in the middle of a woman's breast. The advantage of the way I do it is that the scar is hidden over here in a wrinkle line, so it's very hard to see, and there's no scars on your breast. The reason all doctors don't do it is that it's a little bit harder to do it that way because you're far away from where you're working. But if you have the experience and the skill, and please look at our work, you'll see that the doctor can make the breast look very natural and beautiful through the arm. It's a much better approach, you know, because you don't have any scars on your breast when we're done. So I prefer the axillary approach, which is under the arm there.
Okay, thank you for the answer. នឹងហើយទាំងអស់គ្នាចង់និយាយថាតាមពិតទៅវាមាន4មេតូតនៅក្នុងការដែលយើងវះកាត់ដាំធុងហើយយើងរុញស៊ីលីកូនដាក់ទៅក្នុងធុងរបស់យើងណាចំណុចមួយដែលភាគច្រើននៅស្រុកខ្មែរយើងអត់ប្រើឬក៏នៅក្រៅប្រទេសហ្នឹងប្រើគឺការដាក់សាលីនចាថង់សាលីនហ្នឹងគឺជាថង់មួយដែលទូចល្អិតដែលអត់ទាន់ដាក់ទឹកគេហៅទឹកសរោមប្រៃចូលក្នុងហ្នឹងឯងអញ្ចឹងគេដាក់នៅពីក្រោមគេហៅក្រោមផ្សិតរបស់យើងរុញឡើងមកដល់កន្លែងធុងណាចា
Roll it up like this.
ចាវាលក្ខណៈថាគេរុំវាឡើងទូចហើយយើងគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់ធ្វើការដាក់ចោះពីក្រោមផ្សិតចាពីផ្សិតយើងហ្នឹងរុញឡើងមកលើរុញឡើងមកកន្លែងដើមទ្រូងរបស់យើងហើយបានគេចាប់ផ្ដើមបហូរទឹកសាលីនហ្នឹងបហូរទឹកសរោមប្រៃហ្នឹងចូលទៅក្នុងប៉ុន្តែមេតូតហ្នឹងគាត់ចង់និយាយថាបំភ្លេចចោលអត់មានណាគេប្រើទេចាហើយក៏សាលីនក៏មិនមែនជាជំរើសល្អដែលគ្រូពេទ្យត្រូវណែនាំទៅឲ្យអ្នកជំងឺយើងប្រើដែរប៉ុន្តែមាន3មេតូតផ្សេងទៀតដែលគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់តែងតែប្រើផ្សេងគ្នាហើយវាមានគុណប្រយោជន៍ហើយនឹងចង់និយាយថាគុណប្រយោជន៍ហើយនឹងគុណវិបត្តិផ្សេងគ្នាអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹង3មេតូតហ្នឹងគឺមានអីខ្លះទាំងអស់គ្នាគឺមានការវះកាត់ដាក់ពីក្រោមធុងរបស់យើង1ទី2គឺនៅគេហៅថាជុំវិញរង្វង់សូដនមិនមែនក្បាលសូដននេះណារង្វង់សូដនរង្វង់ពណ៌ខ្មៅទី3គឺក្រោមឃ្លៀកចាអញ្ចឹងសួរថាការវះសោកស៊ីលីកូនបញ្ចូលតាមផ្នែកមួយដែលគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់ជ្រើសធ្វើហ្នឹងមានអត្ថប្រយោជន៍ហើយនឹងគុណវិបត្តិអីខ្លះសម្រាប់គាត់គាត់ថាពីក្រោមនេះគឺងាយស្រួលធ្វើមែនតើគឺគ្រាន់តែវះត្រឹមនឹងកន្លែងហ្នឹងក្រោមធុងហ្នឹងហើយរុញចូលលឹបមកដល់ភ្លាមចាអត់ប្រវាអីប៉ុន្តែក៏អត់ជ្រើសធ្វើហ្នឹងពីព្រោះដោយសារវានឹងបណ្ដាលឲ្យមានស្នាមចាហើយស្នាមហ្នឹងចាអាចទោះបីជាយើងថែល្អយ៉ាងណាក៏វានៅតែក្រហមដែរមួយឆ្នោតនឹងក្រោមធុងអញ្ចឹងគាត់ចង់និយាយថាគាត់អត់ចង់ឲ្យអ្នកជំងឺរបស់យើងពេលដែលវះកាត់ហើយមានស្នាមហើយត្រូវបានគ្រួសារគាត់ឃើញឬក៏គេហៅថាមិត្តប្រុសរបស់គាត់ឃើញវាអត់សូវមានអារម្មណ៍ល្អឯក្នុងចំណុចហ្នឹងណាចាអញ្ចឹងគឺគាត់អត់ជ្រើសធ្វើតាមហ្នឹងទោះតាមហ្នឹងងាយស្រួលសម្រាប់ដុកទ័រក៏ដោយគឺគាត់អត់ជ្រើសធ្វើទេទី2គឺការវះរង្វង់សូដនចាវះកាពាក់កដាលទេវះរង្វង់សូដនចាហើយគាត់ dig the hole ចូលទៅខាងក្នុងចាទៅក្រោមសាច់ដុំគឺយើង implant ក្រោមសាច់ដុំគឺងាយស្រួលដូចគ្នាប៉ុន្តែគឺគាត់អត់ចង់ឲ្យមានស្កានៅមានស្នាមនៅក្នុងរង្វង់សូដនរបស់យើងឯងអញ្ចឹងគឺគាត់អត់ជ្រើសធ្វើទេហើយមេតូតមួយទៀតគឺការវះសោកដាក់ពីក្រោមឃ្លៀកទៅគាត់ជ្រើសធ្វើអាហ្នឹងទោះបីវារៀងប្រវត្តិបន្តិចក៏ប៉ុន្តែសម្រាប់ដុកទ័រដែលគេហៅថាមានទឹកដៃមាន skill មានបទពិសោធន៍ហើយគាត់ស្ទាត់ជំនាញគឺអត់ប្រវត្តិអីគឺ យើងជៀសបាននៅការធ្វើកុំឲ្យមានស្នាមហើយនៅពេលដែលយើងដាក់ចូលតាមក្រោមក្លៀកស្នាមវានឹងមានលក្ខណៈថាមើលសឹងតែមិនឃើញពីព្រោះអីវាបន្លំជាមួយនឹងអាភាពជ្រួញនៃក្រោមក្លៀករបស់យើងហើយបើសិនជាយើងថែបានល្អទៀតគឺមើលសឹងតែមិនឃើញហើយអត់ដឹងថាយើង implant តែម្ដងធ្លាប់បានកាត់សាច់កន្លែងហ្នឹងឬក៏វះកាត់កន្លែងហ្នឹងតែម្ដង Okay thank you doctor so you choose the best way that to make the woman not to have the scar after breast surgery is very
important.
Yeah, very good idea and it's very important not to let her husband or her boyfriend see the scar after the surgery.
Very important. Many women who went to Thailand and Vietnam have come to me afterwards here, Cambodian women I mean, now that it went to Thailand or something.
Yeah.
And the doctor didn't know how to do it through the arm. And they're very upset that they didn't come to me first and have me do it through the arm because they don't want a big scar under their breast, you know, the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I went to Vietnam a few years ago and I have a friend over there who's a plastic surgeon and he doesn't know how to do it through the arm either. And he's very busy and he does these procedures all the time, but he has to do it below the breast because he doesn't know how to do it this way. And it takes 2 hours for him to do it because it takes a lot of dissection under there because, you know, you got to detach muscles and everything. And, you know, and the product he's given to the patients isn't as good. You know, it's certainly better to have the scar under here where nobody can see it, in my opinion.
Okay, ចឹងតាមកំណត់យោបល់របស់លោកដុកទ័រគាត់បានជំរាបជូនអ្នកនរគ្នាឲ្យថាមានដុកទ័រជាច្រើនដែលគាត់អត់ចូលចិត្តធ្វើការងារលំបាកធ្វើការងារណាងាយងាយហើយអាការងារលំបាកដែលដាក់ចូលតាមក្លៀកហ្នឹងគឺវាជាការងារមួយដែលលំបាកព្រោះវានៅឆ្ងាយពីកន្លែងដែលយើងត្រូវដាក់អញ្ចឹងពីក្លៀកមកធំគឺវារៀងឆ្ងាយអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងភាគច្រើនគ្រូពេទ្យនៅវៀតណាមនៅថៃនៅអីអញ្ចឹងគាត់ធ្វើការវះដាក់សូពីក្រោមទៅពីក្រោមធំទៅហើយមាននារីយើងនៅស្រុកខ្មែរយើងគាត់ទៅធ្វើការវះកាត់នៅថៃនៅវៀតណាមអីចឹងគាត់មកគាត់មានលក្ខណៈថា upset អារម្មណ៍អត់ល្អអត់សប្បាយចិត្តទេពីព្រោះដោយសារវាមានស្នាមខ្លះក៏អាចធ្វើឲ្យបាត់ស្នាមខ្លះធ្វើឲ្យនៅព្រាបានប៉ុន្តែនៅតែមើលឃើញអញ្ចឹងហើយគាត់យោបល់របស់គាត់គឺយល់ល្អយើងដាក់តាមក្លៀកគឺល្អខ្លាំងមែនតើ Okay so
let me just add one thing. I don't want to seem too mean.
Okay.
There are many doctors in Thailand who know how to do it through here, and in Vietnam even they have some doctors who know how to do it through the arm. So I don't want to imply that the whole country doesn't know how to do it. But certainly years ago and even recently, there are some doctors who still make the incision below the breast. And there are some in Thailand and Vietnam who now know how to do it through the arm too. They learned. So I just don't want to imply that they're in the Stone Age and don't know how to do it. Some people over there do. In fact, a very close friend of mine in Thailand is a great surgeon and he does it through the arm also. So it's possible you can get it done over there too, through the arm.
Okay គាត់ចង់និយាយថាតាមពិតទៅបើសិនជាគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់គិតពីគេហៅថាលក្ខណៈស្អាតហើយនឹងដែលមានទឹកដៃខ្ពស់ជំនាញខ្ពស់គឺគេជ្រើសធ្វើពីតាមក្លៀកព្រោះអីទោះបីវាពិបាកបន្តិចប៉ុន្តែអ្នកជំងឺអត់ប្រឈមទៅនឹងការមានស្នាមនិងក្រោមធំឬក៏នៅចុងទៅដល់នេះអញ្ចឹងមិនថានៅថៃឬក៏ទូទាំងប្រទេសថៃឬក៏វៀតណាមអត់ចេះដាក់តាមក្លៀកអីមានគ្រាន់ថាភាគតិចតែគាត់អត់ទៅចង់ធ្វើដាក់តាមក្លៀកអញ្ចឹងណាបើគាត់ចេះដាក់តាមខាងក្រោមអញ្ចឹងវាលឿនជាងងាយស្រួលជាងអញ្ចឹងពួកគាត់ដាក់ខាងក្រោមអញ្ចឹងមានមិត្តភក្តិគាត់ដែលគាត់ធ្វើការនៅថៃនៅអីអញ្ចឹងគឺគាត់ជ្រើសដាក់តាមក្លៀកដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងណាអញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនស្ត្រីយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាអញ្ចឹងចំណុចមួយហ្នឹងគឺជាការសម្រេចចិត្តមួយចាតែយើងត្រូវធ្វើការសម្រេចចិត្តឲ្យលំអិតហើយនឹងឲ្យត្រឹមត្រូវនៅក្នុងការដែលយើងសម្រេចចិត្តឲ្យគ្រូពេទ្យគាត់ដាក់ចូលទៅតាមណាចាដើម្បីឲ្យយើងចេញផលិតផលមកស្អាតសុខភាពល្អគឺសំខាន់ខ្លាំងមែនទែនអញ្ចឹងជាបន្តទៅទៀតបងមានសំណួរតាក់ទងទៅនឹងក្រោយពេលយើងដកត្រែនចេញហើយតើយើងអាចហាត់ប្រាណបានអាចទៅធ្វើការបានក្នុងរយៈពេលប្រហែលថ្ងៃហើយយើងត្រូវថែទាំបែបម៉េចម៉ាស្សាបែបម៉េចនឹងជាសំណួរដែលយើងទាំងអស់គ្នាគួរតែដឹងក្រោយពេលយើងធ្វើការវះកាត់ Okay so doctors after operation the woman can go to work back regularly or how many days after operation
It varies depending on how the woman feels. But most of my patients, I know this will sound impossible, but most of my patients, like when I do the surgery on Friday, they go back to work on Monday or Tuesday before the stitches are out. As soon as the drains come out, they can go back to work.
Okay.
Now, let me just add another interesting thing. I'm American, right? So a lot of American women come here for surgery.
Okay.
And Singapore and Hong Kong and Australia.
Yeah.
A lot of patients from there. And they need to get back to work or their children or whatever, and they will fly over here, see their relatives, have surgery, and go back 3 days later. Now, I don't recommend that, but it happens a lot. They say, look, it doesn't hurt. I feel fine. I can get a doctor in America to take my stitches out, and I want to go home. And so they go get on the plane and go home. Again, I don't recommend it. I'd like them to stay through the whole week so I can see them through the whole thing. But, when there's no pain and all they have is stitches, they just get them taken out at home. I remember one Khmer American lady from Philadelphia, which is, it's even way over on the east coast of America. And so it's even longer flight than going to California or something. And she flew all the way back to Philadelphia, I think on the 3rd post-op day.
Okay, បងប្អូនទាំងគ្នានៅត្រង់ចំណុចហ្នឹងគឺថាក្រោយពេលយើងដក drain មានអាទឹកប្រហូរចេញពីដើមទ្រូងដែលយើងធ្វើការវះកាត់ហើយហ្នឹងណាក្រោយពី3ថ្ងៃក្រោយប្រហូរ drain ហើយមុនពេលយើងកាត់ចេះចេញមុនដល់ថ្ងៃទី7មានថាមួយសប្តាហ៍គឺគាត់អាចក្រោកទៅធ្វើការបានធម្មតាហើយអញ្ចឹងតាមបបផ្សាយគាត់កន្លងមកអ្នកជំងឺដែលគាត់ហោះពីអាមេរិកមកអីចឹងណាគឺគាត់មកបាន3ថ្ងៃគាត់ត្រឡប់ទៅវិញហើយប៉ុន្តែដុកទ័រគាត់រីកមិនថាគួរឲ្យនៅគ្រប់មួយអាទិត្យទៅដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់តាមដានសុខភាពរបស់គាត់ហើយនឹងធ្នេរបស់គាត់អីផ្សេងៗអញ្ចឹងជាធម្មតាគឺយើងអាចធ្វើត្រឡប់ទៅធ្វើការបានចាក្រោយពេលយើងវះកាត់ត្រឹមតែ2-3ថ្ងៃគឺអត់ប្រវ៉ាអីអញ្ចឹងគឺក្រោយពេលដែលយើងដកអា drain មានថាសម្រាប់ប្រហូរទឹកចេញពីក្នុងធុងរបស់យើងបានអញ្ចឹងយើងអាចទៅធ្វើការបានហើយវាអាស្រ័យទៅលើសុខភាពរបស់មនុស្សស្រីយើងមួយអ្នកខ្លះក៏គាត់មិនសូវជាឈឺអីចឹងណាចាអ្នកខ្លះក៏គាត់ឈឺថ្នមខ្លួនចឹងធម្មតាគឺតែ3ថ្ងៃឯងយើងអាចទៅធ្វើការបានវិញធម្មតាហើយណាបងប្អូនទាំងគ្នា Okay, so doctors we have other question.
Okay, let me add one little thing about before we leave that question. There are some on my website, which I think you're going to put on the post, where people can see a lot of before and after pictures. There's some testimonials that women wrote about their experience, and some of them do talk about going home a few days after surgery and when they started back to work and everything. So if they want to read stories of real patients about what the experience was like, whether it hurt or not, and how soon they were able to go back to work, they can read those stories on the website.
Okay, អញ្ចឹងបងប្អូនទាំងគ្នាយើងអាចចូលទៅមើលព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមសម្រាប់អ្នកដែលគាត់ធ្លាប់ធ្វើការវះកាត់ហើយដែលគាត់បាន feedback នៅលើ website របស់លោក Dr Reid ផ្ទាល់
www.dr without a period and then sheiftal.com. You're going to put it in the maybe he can print it below.
Yeah, we will put it on.
Can this guy type? He can type the words in. So just look below the screen or something. The website will come up and go to testimonials and you can read about the story of other women. And also you can go to the gallery, the video and photo gallery, and look at patients before and after to get an idea of what kind of work we can do.
Okay, so ទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងនឹងដាក់ website របស់គាត់នៅលើវីដេអូរបស់យើងចឹងអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាអាចចូលទៅមើលព័ត៌មានបន្ថែមពីការងាររបស់គាត់ចាស្នាដៃរបស់គាត់ចាប្រវត្តិរបស់គាត់ចា achievement របស់គាត់ជាច្រើនអញ្ចឹងអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាអាចចូលទៅមើលបន្ថែមចាខ្ញុំចង់ជំរាបអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាថាគាត់ពិតជាគ្រូពេទ្យមួយដែលមានទឹកដៃខ្ពស់មានស្នាដៃខ្ពស់ហើយជាពិសេសក៏ទទួលស្គាល់ពីក្រសួងសុខាភិបាលយើងដូចគ្នាក៏ដូចជាគេហៅថា plastic surgery board នៅឯក្រៅប្រទេសនៅអាមេរិកដូចគ្នាណាចាហើយគាត់គឺជានាយក director នៅមន្ទីរពេទ្យ Sangkat ផ្នែកវះកាត់ចា director of plastic surgery at Central Hospital នៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាយើងផងដែរអូខេអញ្ចឹងយើងដូចជាសំណួរសម្រាប់បងដូចជាអត់មានអីត្រូវសួរគាត់ទេពីព្រោះយើងមកដល់ថាក្រោយការយើងវះកាត់ហើយយើងអាចទៅធ្វើការបានបែបម៉េចថែទាំបែបម៉េចខ្ញុំបានសួរគាត់ហើយបានជំរាបទៅអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាហើយ បងគិតថាមានសំណួរមួយទៀតព្រោះអីអ្នកខ្លះគាត់អត់ទាន់មាន baby គាត់មាន baby ហើយតើយើងអាចឲ្យកូនមកដោះបានអត់ណាជាសំណួរដែលសំខាន់ដែរ Okay doctor there is another question
Okay.
After breast surgery do women can breastfeeding or not
Yes. On my website again,
Okay
I have a lady that I did surgery on after her first 2 children, where she lost all of her breast volume.
Okay
And she looks beautiful after surgery, really beautiful.
Yes
And she asked me the same question, and I said, yes, you can. So she and her husband decided to have another baby. And I didn't know about this, but she came back to the clinic 6 years after I did the original surgery to say hi
Okay
and to bring her baby and show it. And she nursed the baby, and her breasts are very beautiful still. I've got the pictures after the first surgery. I've got the pre-op picture after her first 2 children when she lost her breast volume. Then I've got the picture after I did her first surgery. And then I have the picture from 6 years later on the website.
Okay
So you get to see all of that information and read the story. I wrote the little story there that 6 years after she had another baby which she nursed. So yes, you can do it. The reason is because the implant goes, pretend that's the breast tissue here, okay? Hello? Okay. The implant goes behind the breast tissue and sometimes behind the muscle also. Depends on the patient. But even if it's above the muscle, it's still behind the breast tissue. So all the ducts that go to the nipple are unaffected.
Okay
Which leads me to one thing I forgot to say.
Okay
When we're talking about the periareolar approach, that's when the doctor cuts around the areola, right? To put the implant in. It cuts some of the breast milk ducts.
Oh yeah
Now, let me tell you why that's important. Let me tell you why that's important. It's important because bacteria, like people, like to eat milk. And so the infection rate when you cut around the nipple, when you're cutting the milk ducts and a little bit of milk leaks out, has a higher rate of infection.
Okay
And that's something I forgot to tell you about the disadvantage of the periareolar approach. It's not just that you can see the scar, it's that you're actually cutting the milk ducts. And also, one more little thing about that, the nerve to the nipple that gives you sensitivity to your nipple, which is very important to a woman, leaves the 4th intercostal space and travels to the nipple. It's got that nerve too. You see, it's more vulnerable. It's more likely to be cut by the knife when we're dissecting down to the muscle. You see? Yeah, we're cutting the areola here. We have to make a hole to get down to in front of the muscle to put the implant in, right? Well, the nerve runs right by there. So it's possible, it doesn't happen very often, but it's possible to injure the nerve when you do a periareolar approach. Do you understand? So maybe you can explain that.
Okay, so for you put under the muscle, right? So you said?
Normally, I put on top of the muscle. Just me. It's less painful.
Okay.
And it's more natural looking. On top of the muscle.
On top of the muscle.
However, when I have a patient who has no breast tissue, which we know in Asia, some ladies' breasts are very small.
Okay.
When she has no breast tissue, I will put the implant below the muscle to give her a little bit more tissue on top of the implant. You see what I mean? I can put it under the muscle so there's a little bit more soft tissue on top of it. But usually I put them on top of the muscle, above the muscle, usually.
Okay.
Because it's more natural and less painful.
Okay ទាំងអស់គ្នានេះជាចំណុចសំខាន់ដែលស្ត្រីយើងក៏តែងមានការបារម្ភថាក្រោយពេលយើងធ្វើការពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងវះកាត់ពង្រីកដើមទ្រូងហើយយើងអាចនៅបបៅ baby យើងមានកូនអីបន្តទៅទៀតបានហ្នឹងគឺថាបាន 100% ណាចាតាមរយៈ method ដែលយើងធ្វើការ implant តាមក្រុមគ្លៀកគឺល្អជាងគេល្អខ្លាំងមែនតើពីព្រោះថានៅពេលដែលយើង implant នៅក្រុមគ្លៀកហើយគាត់ដាក់ implant ហ្នឹងចាធម្មតាវាមានពីលើសាច់ដុំហើយនឹងក្រោមសាច់ដុំជាធម្មតាគឺគាត់ទោះបីគាត់ដាក់នៅលើសាច់ដុំក៏វាអត់មានប៉ះពាល់ទៅដល់កពេញទឹកដោះដែរចាពីព្រោះកពេញទឹកដោះនៅខាងលើចាកពេញទឹកដោះនៅខាងលើបន្តមកទៀតបានសាច់ដុំអញ្ចឹងគាត់ដាក់នៅចន្លោះសាច់ដុំជាមួយនឹងកពេញទឹកដោះទៅចន្លោះកណ្ដាលហ្នឹងអញ្ចឹងដើម្បីធ្វើឲ្យ ដើមទ្រូងរបស់មនុស្សស្រីយើងមើលទៅមានលក្ខណៈទន់ស្អាតហើយអត់ប៉ះពាល់ដល់កពេញទឹកដោះទេអញ្ចឹងអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាអាចមានកូនមាន baby ហើយមានទៀតចាយកហ្មងក៏បានដែរត្រង់ចំណុចហ្នឹងណាហើយរឿងចំណុចសំខាន់មួយទៀតបើសិនជាយើងធ្វើការវះកាត់ចាដាក់តាមចុងសូដនវិញចាដាក់តាមចុងសូដនគឺមានផលប៉ះពាល់ពីព្រោះមិញគាត់ខ្ញុំមកបានឆ្លេចសួរទំនួលគាត់នៅត្រង់ហ្នឹងចឹងគាត់លើកពីគុណវិបត្តិដល់កន្លែងហ្នឹងមកទៅពេលដែលយើងវះកាត់ចុងសូដនសោកតាមចូលតាមរយៈចុងសូដនហ្នឹងគឺវាមានបញ្ហាកាត់គេហៅថាកពេញទឹកដោះចា flow មានន័យថាលំហូរកពេញទឹកដោះដែលចេញមកក្បាលចុងសូដនយើងហ្នឹងគឺវាមានការធ្វើការកាត់ជុំវិញហ្នឹងគឺវាអត់ល្អទេពីព្រោះវាអាចធ្វើឲ្យថ្ងៃក្រោយទៅវា block គេមានថាវាស្ទះកពេញទឹកដោះរបស់យើងអាហ្នឹងទី1ទី2ត្រូវរុងចូលទៅក្នុងហ្មងតែយើងទៅដល់ពីលើសាច់ដុំអញ្ចឹងវាត្រូវប៉ះពាល់គេហៅថាកោសិកានៅកន្លែង breast tissue ហ្នឹងប៉ះពាល់ច្រើនចាកោសិកានៅលើកោសិកាកន្លែងកពេញទឹកដោះកន្លែងកោសិកាដោះយើងហ្នឹងគឺប៉ះពាល់ច្រើនណាអញ្ចឹងជំរើសដែលល្អគឺយើងដាក់ពីក្រោមក្លៀកទៅហើយការដែលយើងវះកាត់ដោយយើងសោកតាមចុងសូដនហ្នឹងគឺវាមានគេហៅហានិភ័យនៅក្នុងការឆ្លងមេរោគចាឆ្លងមេរោគហើយមានបញ្ហាច្រើនជាងពីក្រោមក្លៀកទៅអញ្ចឹងជំរឿនដែលល្អគឺដាក់ពីក្រោមក្លៀកទៅ Okay thank you so much doctor for a very nice interview and a lot of explanation to our audience អញ្ចឹងទាំងអស់គ្នាខ្ញុំអស់សំណួរអស់ចម្ងល់ហើយសង្ឃឹមថាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាចាសារវីដេអូហ្នឹងមើលនៅរាល់សំណួរនៅចម្ងល់ដែលខ្ញុំបានសួរគាត់នៅរាល់អ្វីដែលគាត់បានបកស្រាយចាហើយយកទៅគិតយកទៅពិចារណាយកទៅរៀនយកទៅសិក្សាយកទៅស្វែងយល់ឲ្យបានច្រើនមុននឹងការយើងសម្រាប់ចិត្តធ្វើការជ្រើសរើសធ្វើការវះកាត់ដើមទ្រូងក៏ដូចជាវះកាត់ផ្នែកណាមួយដោយយើងធ្វើការជ្រើសរើស clinic ដែលត្រឹមត្រូវគ្រូពេទ្យដែលត្រឹមត្រូវចាកន្លែងដែលមានស្តង់ដាចាកន្លែងដែលមានច្បាប់ត្រឹមត្រូវចាអញ្ចឹង clinic របស់យើងឥឡូវនេះគឺយើងបានអភិវឌ្ឍខ្លួនចាមានច្បាប់ complete ទាំងអស់ចាទាំងគ្រូពេទ្យក្នុងប្រទេសក្រៅប្រទេសចាក៏ដូចគ្នា clinic របស់នាងខ្ញុំក៏មានការសហការពីខាងមន្ទីរពេទ្យ Banobagi ដែលជាមន្ទីរពេទ្យធំចាស្តង់ដានៅឯកូរ៉េផងដែរអញ្ចឹងសម្រាប់បងប្អូនទាំងគ្នានៅក្នុងការវះកាត់កែសម្ផស្សអីផ្សេងចាអាចចូលមក inbox សួរជាសំណួរមកខាងក្រុមការងាររបស់នាងខ្ញុំក៏ដូចជាអាច telephone ឬក៏ទំនាក់ទំនងតាមអាសយដ្ឋានរបស់យើងដែលបានដាក់នៅលើវីដេអូរបស់យើង Okay so Dr. Reid thank you so much for your time your valuable time and your explanation to all the questions that I have asked on behalf of our customer and I think that they may have a very clear decision after watching our video our explanation choose the right doctor choose the right clinic choose the right implant and how to be well prepared before you do the operation and after your operation and no dangerous at all
safety is first
safety is first so thank you so much for your valuable time doctor
thank you
AMBUT Center សម្រាប់ដែលលោកអ្នកជឿទុកចិត្ត